in 2002 to train the teachers who are recruited by the Ministry of Education every time when the new teachers are recruited, and we provide some training to the teachers. And actually, we have already conducted 18 courses, and we have trained more than 33,000 tutors and demonstrators. So tutors and demonstrators are the teachers who are newly appointed at different universities all over the country. And so this kind of course was suspended in 2014 due to some national human resources as well as some facilities and some other support from the ministry. But that's why we would like to try to change this into the online program. And then so when the COVID-19 broke out in March, in January, but it became worse in our country. And when the positive case was first confirmed in March, and then so all the schools were closed down. And so at that time, we started to turn this course into online course, right? So, and the objectives of this online course is to upgrade the English language proficiency of the newly appointed tutors and demonstrators. And so, and we also need to acquaint them with the presentation skills so that they will be able to participate in the presentations, workshop, do presentations, and to be able to participate in the workshop seminars. And also as newly appointed teachers, they also need classroom language and the classroom management, and then they need some basic knowledge about the assessment. That's why with this these aims, and then we conducted this course, and these are the components that we offered to the trainees. And this is the online course, though it is an online, though we call it an online course, is because we developed this course within a month, and then so we try to be able to come up with a training program that is very intensive. And then so it's only about 90-hour course, and then so but we allotted more time for the real time, more time for real teaching, and that's time for the self-directed learning, because our focus is to develop the proficiency as well as at the same time to equip them with some of the skills that teachers need to be able to effectively conduct the lessons. And so, and every day we teach them, we have 3 hours, we have some 3-hour contact with the real-time teaching with the trainees. And then so it's a 2 periods per day, and then 1 period lasts only 1.5 hours. And so this means that they have to attend the classes for 2 periods, but there is a 30-minute break during the 2 periods, and then there are altogether 82 participants, and they are divided into 4 sections. This means in each section there will be only about 20 students in one class. And so we do both. The trainees will have to do the synchronous as well as asynchronous learning using the Microsoft Teams. Actually, this is a very new application that we have. Actually, previously we have never tried this Microsoft Teams application, but this is the first time that we have ever used this application, and we found it very useful. So let me move on to the modes of the assessment that we used throughout the training program. So the first one is that we assess their performance through their participation. So to be able to observe their participation, first of all, we need to check their attendance regularly, every day and regularly. So for that, we have to, in one classroom, in one section, and there are more than 1 or 2 or 3 teachers, because we want I make the teachers to check their attendance the whole time, so that they will be in the classroom, because it is difficult especially when we are running the online classes, and then it's a virtual teaching. And that's why it is difficult for us to manage the students, whether they are actually engaged in the lesson or not. Right? So for that, we need to check the attendance regularly. And then so we also give them all sorts of assignments, quizzes, and activities. So let me talk about these are some of the assignments and the quizzes and the reflections questions that we gave to our students. So to check their classroom participation, so we regularly, very often we ask individual trainee to ask the questions, and so that they have to answer the questions, so they cannot be away from the screen. They have to pay attention to what the teacher is saying, teaching all the time. So to make them engage, and then to make them to make sure that whether they are really paying attention to the lesson or not. So the teachers will have to call out the name, and then the teachers call out the name and ask them to answer the questions, sometimes ask them to read aloud. So some sentences or some paragraphs, so that they are always in the engage in the lessons, and then paying attention to the teachers. And the next mode of assessment is to check their participation, is ask them to type in the chat. In the mid chat, they have to give their answers, so that you know whether who is responding and who is just listening, and who is participating and who is giving the feedback, and so on. And also sometimes we ask them to send text messages to the teachers as well as to their peers, right? So this means that we are just using different modes of assessment, right? So to make them busy and engaged in the lesson, sometimes asking them to use the signs, the symbols, and the emoticons, and also some similes, so that they value the signs and the symbols that are given by the teachers to them, right? So let's say that their performance is good, and then the teachers give them 3 hearts and then 3 smiley faces and so on. So they value all these things, and then so it makes them feel relaxed, and then so it helps them to be able to focus in their lessons, right? And also we also make them to work in pairs and in groups, as if they were in the physical room, because in the Teams, Microsoft Teams application, the students can you can put them into different breakout sessions, and then in different breakout sessions, they are formed into group of 4 or 5, and then so the teacher can move from one group to another, and monitoring them whether they are really engaged in the discussion or not. And then sometimes they are to, when they come back to the main their classroom, when they have finished discussing in the breakout session, and then so when they come back to the main forum, and then so at that time they have to give some reports. So in this way, we can check whether all the participants are engaged in the lessons, and then so they are trying to learn from each other, share each other's ideas. And also we give them some assignments, quizzes, and the mini tests, right? So normally we use a Microsoft Forms. So in the Microsoft Forms, and then we can give them some kind of quizzes, and then fill in the blanks, and then asking them some short answer questions, and then long answer questions, all sorts of things. And then we can, using this one is very useful for them. And then we can also check whether they have turned in their assignment or not, right? So we can, it's when we are going online, and so it is easier for the teacher and the organizer to monitor all the performances that they have participated, all the performances they have done. And then so sometimes we give them some kind of activities, right? And then sometimes giving them some mini tests, and sometimes we give them not just, we do not just put the assignments online and on the main forum, but we just give them send the some of the essays and some writings through email, so that they can go back, they can send back their work via email, and that the teacher can give feedback using the track changes, and then so that they can check where they went wrong, and what is the correct answer, and then the teachers can give them some immediate feedback, right? And also sometimes the teacher collected all the common mistakes that we make, and then some of the feedback, and then the comments, put it on the PowerPoint slides, and then when they come back to the classroom and the next day, the teacher generally give them the general feedback for all the participants. So this means that we can give the students, the trainees, I mean, the individual feedback as well as the collective feedback. And sometimes we also ask them to record their audio or record their voice and then send them back to the trainers, and then so the instructors watch their audios and the video materials and give them comments. For example, like when we teach them the basic phonetics, at that time, at the beginning of the course, the teacher asked them to read out a paragraph and then record their own reading and then send it back to their instructors, and then after that they learn the basic phonetics lesson, and then at the end of the course the teachers ask them to read out the same paragraph, focusing on their pronunciation, stress and the intonation and the pronunciation. And then after that they send it back to the teacher, and then after that the teachers will give them some feedback. And also sometimes the teachers just give them some sample audio record, so that they can compare their pronunciation and the teacher's pronunciation, and then so that they can get some feedback from the teacher through their self-evaluation. And sometimes the teacher asks them for the presentation skills. They are formed into groups, and then they can work in groups online, because they can form they can have a video call or the audio call, and then sharing the materials on Microsoft Teams. And then so they prepare the lessons, and then they videotape the lesson, and then after that they send it back to the teachers. And then also at the class time, during the class time, the teachers play their records, and then the rest of them they just give them feedback, and then so that they can get some feedback from the teachers as well as from their peers, right? So, and then this means that when we talk about when we give them some assessment, and then so normally the teachers need, the students need some self feedback. So how can they get the feedback? They can get feedback from self-evaluation, right? So, and sometimes when they are asked to take the quizzes, and then they can check their own answers, right? In Microsoft form, because when they submit the form, when they have finished that exercise, they can submit their work, and then so and then immediately they got the feedback whether their answers are correct or not, right? So that's why they can just check their own performance on their own through self-evaluation, and then the teacher also gives them some feedback, and also they can get some feedback from their peers, right? So, and if by using these online applications, and then we can check how many students have turned in, and how many students have not turned in their application, and how many have posted, and how many have participate in the chat discussion, and so on. So it is easier for us to check their performances. What I would like to mean is that we are not actually, I'm not dealing with all the terms like assessment, formative assessment, or the summative assessment, or assessments for learning, or assessment of learning, or assessment as learning. So actually we are, throughout the course, we are just giving them online or ongoing assessment. So every day, for every lesson, during the lesson, after the lesson, we are just assessing their performances, and then make records of their performances, and then can give them some feedback. And so what are the advantages, right? So by giving them the online teaching and real-time face-to-face teaching, not like the physical classroom, but in the virtual classroom, so they become and also because it is the teachers can give them only 1.5 hours per period, to give them some feedback, and also they can get some feedback from the lessons, and then the rest of the time, the rest of the time, the students will have to work on their own, and also during the class time, they are to put into pairs, and then they are put into groups, and then in the breakout session, they have to do some discussion. So this means that our teaching methodology has changed, and then it becomes more teachers move from teacher centered to the student centered learning. And also the students become sorry for my spelling mistake, become more confident, more motivated, and they become more independent users of the language. And then because they have more classroom participation, right, they become more confident, right? And also there is a very dynamic interaction between the students and among the trainees, because almost all the time the teachers are asking them the questions, or they are chatting in the chat box, or they are to discuss in breakout sections, or giving some feedback to each other, so that they have more collaboration, they have more interaction, and then to become more creative thinkers and the problem solvers. Because especially when they are working online, and then most of the trainees, they are not very much familiar with the technology, and also because they are the teachers, and normally in the younger generation, they are more good at using technology, but the older generation, they are not very good at using the technology, and so they have to solve the problem. So at that time, they have to collaborate with each other. They cannot work alone. That's why they are forced to work in doing all sorts of activities, right? So they become the independent users of the digital platforms. And then also the thing that I like most about this online real-time teaching is that we can give the students, the trainees, immediate feedback, right? So they can get the immediate feedback from the teachers as well as from the peers. And also the teachers can check who is the active users of the online messages, online application, and then who has visited how many assignments, and then so who has done and how many assignments, and who have visited some online materials, because we provide them some online links, and then video materials, YouTube materials, and then they have to go to the materials, and they can they watch them, give feedback, and then come back to the classroom and discuss. So they have more access to the online materials. Previously, when we conduct this course, it's like we just give them some traditional tests every week, and at the end of the training course. That's why they are more engaged. They have to do, most of the time they are to do the individual learning, and then so they just focus on their learning. And then so they do really, though they are asked to do some group work, pair work in the classroom, right? But here, using this application, and then they are to collaborate not only in the real-time teaching during the classroom, but also outside the class time. But some of obviously we still have some problems, and then so this is a technical issues, not only for the teachers but also for the students, right? Because not many of us have some technological knowledge, and then so we have more technical problems, and then it's really sometimes because due to the poor connection, and then so we have some problems. And there is also a lack of personal contact. We do not have the face-to-face interaction, and also we find it difficult to engage participants in the learning, and that's why the teachers and the students, they need more accountability, right, to be engaged in their learning. And then the teachers, actually, it's more from the teacher side, and then the teachers will have to do more preparations, reflections, and then they also need to have put more effort in observing the students, what's happening to the students, whether they are all they are engaged in the learnings or not, or whether they have some problems, right, technical as well as some learning problems or not. And then so the teachers will have to check all the time, almost all the time, so that they were able to give some assistance to their trainees, right? So these are some of the benefits, the advantages and the disadvantages of the conducting the online assessment, giving online assessment. But for me, I think that we have more advantages than disadvantages. Although we still have some challenges, and then we can overcome all the challenges with the effort of all the teachers, right? And our other benefits are that we can record the daily attendance as well as the performances online when we are going online. And then so the, as an organizer of the course, and then so I have more, I was able to observe and supervise every classroom more effectively and efficiently, because it's in the physical classroom, it's difficult for me to go from one classroom to another and observe them and check their performances. But for the online classes, and then I can pop in each classroom and what is happening, and then whether the participants are engaged in the learning or not. And then also I can give some feedback even during the break, during the break of the class time. And then so I can just call my colleagues, and then so what is happening in the classroom, and then so I can just give them some immediate feedback, how to give the answer and how to give suggestions, what to make to help some weak students and so on. So it is difficult. It's very easy for me to give some feedback, and then so also to give some suggestions, and then also I can also give them I can also get some feedback from the instructors. And then, so because we are using this online application, there are so many applications that we can use online, and then so our teaching becomes more innovative, and then so the teachers become more creative, and then we can give very creative, innovative instructions. And the last thing that we benefited from the course is that the teachers become more united, and they understand. And then because all the teachers in our department, they are assigned to take some duties, and that's why they become more united, because especially the old generation, they are not very familiar with the technology, and the new ones, they are more familiar with the new applications. And so the old ones have the teaching experiences and the new ones, and then so they do not have much experiences, but they are good at technology, and so they can work together. They cooperate very closely, and then so with collaborative effort, and then so we were able to conduct this course very successfully. That's why so what I would like to mean is that though there are many criticisms about the online courses, and then there are many disadvantages when we are conducting training courses online, but we still have so many benefits. The only thing is that how much effort the instructors put in preparing the lessons, in conducting the lessons, and checking the students' performances and giving feedback. And then so I think that have more advantages than disadvantages. So that's all for my presentation. And if you have any questions, I'm very happy to answer them. So if you have any question, so.
Oh, thank you. Thank you,
Welcome.
Dr. Paul. Actually, we do have some questions, and in the chat box, if you can click the chat, and you will see the questions.
Okay, so I'll stop my slide share, and then I have some questions. So please share your questions and comments in the chat box here.
Yes.
Oh yes, this is you asked me. Okay, do all the students in your country access to such technology? If not, what is the practice of ensuring equity? Right, that's a very good question. So not all the students have access to technology in our situation, and so how can we ensure the equity? That this is not for especially for the students from basic education level, and they do not have access to the technology and internet and so on. That's why the Ministry of Education is providing some lessons during this COVID-19 period. The ministry is providing some lessons and some training materials for the teachers in the Department of Basic Education box, and then so if they go into that box, and then so they can go into this with zero data. That's why it is accessible for them, right? But for our case, and then so I'm dealing with the teachers from the higher education institutions. That's why most of the teachers, they have all the they have access to the internet connection. That's why the first thing when we conducted the course, we conducted the course only for the teachers, not only not for all the teachers from the higher education institutions, but we started with the teachers from the Yangon University and the Mandalay University and Mandalay region, because they are the big cities, the two big the big cities and the most developed cities in the country. That's why we will be able to. We are dealing with every trainees have the access to the internet. Thank you. And the next question is, technology is a great idea, but not everyone has equal access, right? That's right. And very interesting. Another question is, have you done survey to find out whether students, teacher prefer offline or online courses? Of course, right? And before at the beginning of their training course, I gave them and whether they like, right, training online or offline training courses. And then most of the students and most of the trainees, they said that they prefer more offline classes, because they like to learn from the teacher and from the colleagues, right, face to face. And then but at the end of the course, and then so they realize they see the benefits of the online classes and what they gained from the course. And then so their attitude has a bit changed. And then if possible, during this COVID-19 period, and this online course is very, this online course is beneficial for them, and they learned a lot, and then they gained a lot from the course, not only the content, right, that we give them to develop the proficiency, to learn the pronunciation, basic phonetics and presentation, and the assessment and so on, but also they know how to conduct the online, because they are the teachers. They also learn the methodology, how the online classes are conducted, and then how to use the Microsoft Teams. So they learn how to be, and also one of the participants said that she said that she learned how to be a good online learner, because even for the learner, sometimes it is difficult for you to be a good online learner, right? Not for the teacher. And have you done survey? And yes, at the end of the course, I also gave them some evaluation of the course. And then most of the students, and also at the end of the course, and then we have this wrap-up session, and then so all the trainees, they give me the feedback individually. And so they are very positive about this course. And then so they said that they learned a lot from the course, and then they will be able to, they even have the motivation to conduct the online courses, because it is possible for them to conduct the online courses. And then this is the first training program that we have ever conducted online in our country, right? And also, has there been noticeable differences in the performance of some students as a result of switch to online learning? That's right. There is significance, right? Differences, right? We can see the noticeable improvement of some of the students, because some of the students, when they are in the face-to-face class, and they are shy, and then so they dare not participate in the classroom. They intimidated. They feel intimidated to give their opinions. But when they are online, and then so usually they cannot see each other. I mean, you can see just the faces, and then but not like in a real life situation, right? That's why some of them, they become more, productive, and then just by giving the answers and online, and then chatting them, and they can also share ideas, because in the classroom, when someone is answering the question, the next question, the students, maybe the trainees at the back, they may not hear very clearly, but it's online, everything can be seen in the chat box, right? So and when we ask the students to give feedback in our classroom, and then so we give only a little feedback and then some a few comments from the students. But when we are online, and then so at the end of the course, and then we ask them to evaluate their training and the training program, and they give more comments and they give more suggestions, and then so their feedback are very encouraging for us. What trainings and support have been given to teachers before they switch onto online mode? Yes, before they switch into online mode, we need to give them some how to download, and what are the rules and regulations, and then how to participate in the classroom. And we need to give them some instructions in English as well as in Myanmar, and also we give them some orientation section. So, and in the orientation section, I need to explain how to use all the applications, and how to even what to do, where to say, and how to mute, unmute, and then speaker, and then where they can, when we put them into breakout sessions, how to participate in the breakout and discussion in the breakout session, and so on. So we need to give them, because at the beginning because we have conducted 2 training courses, and in the first courses, and then so we have to work really hard, because the teachers themselves, they find it very difficult, and for the trainees, some of the trainees, they have never used the email, and then they don't have the email address. So it is impossible for them if they don't have the email address. So we need to ask them to open an account, and then so how to download the materials, and then we give them some video materials and how to use the Microsoft Teams, right? And also, as an objective, of course, it's to upgrade the English proficiency of higher education teacher. How can you assess and evaluate the success in this? Very good question, right? Because through the presentation and the classroom participation, and the teachers give them some all sorts of materials. Sometimes they have to record their own discussion, and then in the present, because we can also assess their present, whether they have developed the proficiency or not through their presentations, right? So sometimes they have to give some report back on the activities that they are given, and also they have to do the presentation in the classroom, right? Virtually online, like we did in the now. And so from that, we can assess that. And then also they are given a lot of online resources. We established a website, and then they go into the website, and then they have every week there is a grammar training lessons. And then so at that time they have to go into the website and then practice them, and then they come back, the teachers give them some tests, and then so in this way they develop their lessons, they develop their proficiency, and also improve their grammar. Thank you very much. So is there any more questions?
Thank you, Dr. Popo. I think we are over time actually, but it's nice to see, our audience have so many questions. The training program. So I think that's the end of our today's session.